All right, y'all. Super excited about presenting to the NSA Minnesota chapter, where apparently it's 65 degrees in November. So you enjoy that. You enjoy that sun. You enjoy that because you're bringing the sunshine wherever you are. So my name's Arel Moody. My goal with this is to explain how Talkadot solves three really specific problems that I've had in my career as a professional speaker. I've been speaking for the last 17 years. I love the speaking industry. I've been doing this in the college space, in the high school space. I've gone into the corporate space, into the government space, into the nonprofit space. So I've played around in different things, and I've discovered a few problems over my career. And if you've had these problems as well, then this is going to be a really good session. So the first problem, there is one speaking lead that is the highest quality, best speaking lead out of all else. And if you've ever had this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You just finished giving a presentation. A whole bunch of people come up to you after your presentation because they want to talk to you. Maybe they want to take pictures with you or whatever it is. And then someone says, "Oh my gosh, Janelle, that was amazing. Here's my card. I want to book you to come speak at my conference." Or they ask you this question, which I always think is the most adorable question. "We have an event coming up. Do you speak at events?" And you're like, "Yeah, you just saw, like, this is what I'm doing. I'm speaking to you right here at this event. This is what I do, baby." But they're always like curious, like, is it like, would it be all right if we book? So if you get that kind of lead, I will bet there is nothing more powerful than that lead. Why? Because they've seen you speak. They know what you are. They know that they have a need. And now you just got to pretty much figure out budget. And as long as they have the budget for you, it's pretty much a done deal. However, this is the big problem. And if you've spoken a little bit, you've probably experienced this. You have that line of people that come up to see you and talk to you. Have you ever had the experience where you were speaking to what I like to call the long talker? The person who doesn't realize that there's a whole line of people behind you that need to talk to you. And they're just like, "Oh my gosh, when I was 15 years old, you reminded me of something that my grandma always said to." And it's wonderful. And you want to be present with them, but you also want to kind of manage like spreading yourself out throughout the whole line. Now, if you've ever had that happen, you've also had this happen. Have you ever been after your talk and people are coming up and talking to you and you see someone get kind of impatient because they're kind of waiting around and they don't want to wait, and so they kind of just walk off, and you kind of want to grab them and be like, "No, don't leave, come back, I want to talk to you." Because the truth is, if we're being honest with ourselves, in a perfect world, everyone who could book us to speak would go to the front of the line. We would grab everyone's card and give, our card and exchange information with the people who want to book us to speak. And then we can talk to everyone else. That would be the ideal setup, right? We want to be present for people. We want to serve people. But since we do this as professionals, we want to be able to leverage one speech into another. So how do we actually find everyone in our audience who wants to book us to speak? If we can leverage that, if we can pull that out of every audience, if we can solve that problem, then we get into what's called momentum. The hardest thing for speakers is, in general, is getting or keeping momentum. It's why our calendars can have such a mercurial nature to them. We have these feast times where it's like we're busy. And then we have these fast times where it's like there's nothing there. But if every time we speak, we can beget another speaking engagement and beget another speaking engagement, then we can start getting momentum. And the more momentum you get, the better. When you have no momentum, it's obviously just a little bit harder to get started. So we're going to solve that problem for you today, okay? The second problem we're going to solve for you is, how do you prove the effectiveness of your presentation? Now, there are two categories of speakers. There's celebrity speakers and there's content experts. I'm a betting man that if all of you are on this session, you're like me and you're a content expert. You're not really a celebrity. If you're a celebrity and you're Oprah, I'm sure Oprah is very wonderful, but it really doesn't matter what Oprah says. As long as she shows up and she speaks, it's a win. But for content experts, our ROI, our content actually is the draw. Can we do a good job on stage? Can we present content that's actually useful? Now, how do we try to prove to people right now that we are experts? I'm willing to bet if I went to any one of your websites, let me guess what I'm going to see. I'm going to see a big picture of you speaking. I'm going to see a video of you doing your speaking thing. I'm going to see pictures of you on stage around the places. I'm going to see some copy about the problems you solve. And you're going to have some testimonials that you've pulled that sound like Arel was the best speaker at our conference. To this day, I've never seen a speaker who was the 17th highest rated speaker at a conference on their website. I've never seen it. It's never happened. It's not going to happen anytime. So we're trying to separate ourselves, but we're actually using a lot of the similar techniques. However, there is one thing that people use today to help them make buying decisions that we don't leverage as speakers the way we should, which is reviews. Think about it. If you went to Amazon right now and you wanted to buy anything, right? I always like to point to the microphone because I'm using this microphone. I just bought it, right? Once you decide that you want to buy a microphone, what's the number one thing you look on Amazon to see if you should buy it? Is it a 5-star? Is it a 4-star? I bought this microphone because it had 5,000 5-star reviews. So I go, it's good. I can trust it. I don't have to dig deep. I like to scan through the reviews just to see why did people give it 3 stars? Why did people give it 1 stars? But for the most part, if hundreds, thousands of people give it a 5-star rating, it's really, really good. I feel confident with it. If you were to stay at an Airbnb, what's the number one thing you check once you decide what location you want to stay at? The reviews. What are other people saying? But this is the key. They've got to be third-party impartial views. That's why Trustpilot, Google reviews, Amazon, the reason why that is so valued is because they know that it's not manipulated. Have you ever been to like a website that sells like clothes, and on their website they go, this shirt is 5-star rated? You immediately don't trust it because you're like, it's on your website. You put it on your website. Like if it's a third party, then I can trust it because I know it's not manipulated, right? So the second problem we're going to solve for you today is how do you get that data? How do you get that reviews, but turn it into quantifiable reviews so that you can prove the effectiveness of your speaking engagement so you can get booked, rebooked, and then also referred more easily. So we're going to show you how to solve that problem. And then the third problem we're going to show you how to solve today is what I think is like, if I look at it, it's the most simplest thing. And we as speakers, generally speaking, do this horribly. We don't build our email lists. I want you to think about this for a moment. How many people have you spoken to in your career? How many humans have you impacted? Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands? How many of those people are on your email list? Probably a small percentage, if I was willing to guess, right? Now, if you think about it, if every single time we speak to 30 people, 100 people, 50 people, 500 people, and we can add a large percentage of those people to our email list and then build relationships with them. These are the people that are going to buy our books. These are the people that are going to book us to speak. These are the people that are going to join our coaching programs, our consulting programs, our courses, because they know, like, and trust us. Building your list is one of the most valuable business tools you can have, because if you have a hungry audience that likes you, that knows you, that trusts you, it's not so hard to do all of the things. You know, I know a lot of people when they do launches, like Gary Vee right now, could jump onto his email list, jump onto his social media, make one post and sell millions of dollars worth of stuff, right? Now, I'm not saying that you and I need to be Gary Vee in any shape, form, or fashion, but when you have a group of people that know you, like you, trust you, it's just so much easier to drive the ability to help them, to support them with your products and services. So my goal in this very short amount of time we have here is to solve those 3 major problems for you. And how do we solve those 3 major problems? For those of you who know what Talkadot is, and for those of you who don't, we solve it with this slide. This slide right here, if you throw this in towards the tail end of your presentation, I'll talk about that in a little bit, it will solve all those problems for you. So I want to give you some best practices. I want to show you exactly what it does. And then I want to open it up to see if there's any questions, how about, yeah, buts, what ifs, but it'll be a lot of fun. Now, first thing, I recommend inserting the Talkadot slide. We generate this slide for you within our tool. You don't have to design it or anything like this. You just go into our system, you download it. I recommend putting this slide right before your closing in your presentation, okay? So you give your content, and then typically we all have some form of a closing, whether it's a final story, a call to arms, a Q&A, a poem, a quote, one last thought. There's something we do to end on a high note. The reason why I recommend putting this slide before your closing is because if you do your closing correctly, all of you should either get a round of applause or a standing ovation. What you don't want to do is try to get people to stop clapping for you and get them to take any form of another action. At the end of the day, when they're clapping, that's it. That's when the curtain is over. Okay. Now, where do we insert this? Right before you go into your closing. So let me explain what the slide does. Let me explain what Talkadot does, why you put it in there, how you tee it up so it's all clear. Okay. So the first thing is Talkadot is a very, very quick feedback survey. It takes less than 2 minutes for your audience to fill it out. And I'll show you how it all interfaces. And as a thank you for them filling it out, you get to give them something of value, whether it's a PDF, an ebook, an audio program, a video, whatever you want to give them. If you know anything about internet marketing, you might think of it as a lead capture. Now, I recommend giving away one of two categories of things. The first is give away a summary of what you just spoke about, or give away a next logical step they should take because they heard you speak. Okay. So, Jason, just because I'm looking at your face, what's one of the presentations that you might give to an audience? What kind of topic or what might you cover?
Yeah, so my main keynote is becoming a person of influence.
Wonderful, right? So you can either A, say, hey, as a thank you for giving me your feedback on this survey, I want to give you a summary of everything we talked about here on how to become a person of influence. Or you can say, I want to give away to you my top 10 most influential phrases you should use and top 10 influential phrases that will take away your influence. Like, sorry to bother you, but, or something like that, right? Like, you know this world more than I do, right? You can give that away. The easiest thing that I recommend giving away is a copy of your slide deck. I just turn my slides into a PDF. I literally just go to File, and then export as a PDF. And I turn my deck into a PDF because after I speak, many people ask me, can I get access to your slides? Can I get access to your slides? Now, some speakers have the thought of course, I'd happy to give away. And other speakers go, no, that's my intellectual property. I'll never give away my slides. It's mine. I'm not going to give it away. It's my IP. Whoever you are, it's totally fine. You give away something that you feel most comfortable giving away. Again, I think slides are the easiest thing to give away, and it's easy. But if you have an ebook or a video, those work really, really great. So right before your closing, you simply say this. This is a script. I can send it to you. You can, if you want to change it and make it your own, it's totally fine. But I'll give you kind of what is our best practice. So you simply say this. I just finished my content. Assume I did a good job. So all play along with me. Okay. So play along with me. All right. Diane, assume I actually gave a good presentation. Right. So I'm about to go into my closing and I go, out of curiosity, by show of hands, how many people here felt like they got some value out of my presentation today? Like, was this helpful? Oh, thank you so much. Wonderful. Well, the best way to pay me back is to let me know what you thought about my presentation. I want to know what you liked about it so I could do more of it. I want to know what you disliked about it so I can improve upon it. And the only way I can do that is by folks like you letting me know what you thought. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to take out your phones. You don't have to actually do this part. I want you to take out your phones. I want you to open your camera app. And I want you to point it towards this QR code. A little link's going to pop up. Go ahead and click on that link. And I just want you to fill out the less than 2-minute survey. Let me know what your thoughts are. And as a thank you for giving me your feedback, I'm going to give you access to my top 10 most influential phrases you can use today to get difficult people to want to be more easily work with you. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I really want that. And they do it. Now, as a pro tip, I like to tee up what I'm going to give away to my audience towards the beginning of my presentation. So I typically give away a summary. That's like my MO because it's easy. So here's how I tee it up early in my presentation. I go, for those of you who like to take notes, this is a really good place to start. However, if you don't like to take notes and you prefer to be locked in, don't worry, I got you. At the end of my presentation, I'm going to give you access to everything that we talked about here so you don't have to take notes if you don't want to. The reason why that's so valuable is so many people you'll see will put their pens down or kind of relax and go, because I told them I'm going to give them a summary of everything so they don't have to worry about notes. So now if I actually delivered really good stuff, they want those notes. they're not going to not want them. They're going to want them. So they're going to give me their feedback because they want that thing. If I'm giving away a next step, I can say like, so, and again, I'm like totally butchering Jason's like craft here. So I apologize, Jason, but I'm going to keep using you. So let's say I talk about like 3 ways to be more influential. So I can say, hey, y'all, I talked about my top 3 ways to be more influential, but there's actually 10 phrases that we didn't have a chance to get into. If anybody wants access to the 10 phrases at the end of this presentation, I'll make sure to give it to you if that's something that'll be helpful. And then I go into my presentation. So I kind of, it's called salting. Salting is a mechanism that says, you ever heard the phrase, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink? But if you give them a salt tablet, they're going to want to drink, right? So it's a technique called salting. So I kind of tee up the thing that I know that they're going to want earlier and be like, oh, I'll give that to you at the end. And then when I go, hey, remember when I told you about that summary? Here's how you get access to it. And then you'll notice anywhere between 60 to 80% of your audience super excited to give you feedback. Now, as they're giving you their feedback, one of the things that I like to say, and this is a very important thing, I really encourage you to say this. I'll never tell you what to say, but I do encourage you to say this. You'll notice your life will be much easier. As they start taking feedback and looking down, I say to them, when you're done giving me your feedback, please put your phone down and look up so I know you're finished, so I can leave you with one final thought before we go today. The reason why that's so important is because if I take out my phone, and you just have to create 2 to 3 minutes of time in your presentation. If I go on my phone and I give you feedback, and then I look around and I see that people are still giving you feedback, do you know what I'm most likely going to do? Jump on Instagram, jump on Snapchat, jump on NBA.com, jump on the news. So I don't want people to do that. So I'm letting them know, when you're done, put your phone down and look up so I can leave you with one final thought. Everyone does it. Now, typically at this point, some of you should be thinking what I'm about to say next, which is, that'll never work for me. I couldn't stop the flow of my presentation, ask people for feedback, and then go into my closing. Like, it'll work for other speakers, but not me. My content, the way it flows together, it'll totally disrupt it. It is a very, very normal thought. And to be honest with you, we've got thousands of speakers using our tool. This is probably the number one thing that I hear from speakers. In fact, what you will find is the opposite to be true. It does not actually interfere with the flow of your presentation, your closing. It actually increases it. So let me explain why, because I think this is very important. And we've done over 300,000 of these surveys so far. So we're we have a lot of data, and we've discovered something, okay? So this is a unique thing that we discovered. When someone is listening to you speak, right? So Diane speaking. Diane, what's your topic? I'm just going to use you because I can see your camera.
Communication skills.
Perfect. Okay. So you're talking to me about communication skills. I'm in receptive, passive mode. I'm a listener, just like all of you are right now. You're listening to me talk, right? This is really a dialogue. We're listening. Then you go, hey, you want this cool thing? I'm going to give it to you. Give me your thoughts. And now I get to actually externalize the impact that Diane just gave me. I learned so much about communication skills here. This was incredible. I learned X, I learned Y. I know why this isn't working. I know why this is working. So they're going to say, so now they've actually reiterated and externalized the impact that you had. So when you go into your closing, you'll actually notice that you get louder rounds of applause, longer rounds of applause. And if you don't believe me, just try it once, because typically people are so excited to give you feedback, but they're moving from passive to active, and it actually helps them retain the information more, because now they're talking about what just happened to them versus what most people do. Unfortunately, you do a session and then you move on from it. Right? Like people get up and they move on, and like, we want to make an impact. So this actually helps us do it. And for anyone who goes, no, it won't work for me, it's not going to work, just try it one time. And I promise you're going to see this incredible increase of data, incredible increase of satisfaction. And then you have an asset to do cool things with. So let me show you what that looks like, because this is the fun part. Okay. When they scan it, it's going to pull up a little feedback flow that looks like this. Now, on the feedback flow, if you use our slide, it'll automatically enter this code and bypass this process here. But if you use your generic link, or if you just throw, because everyone has like a talk.ac slash Kelly, talk.ac slash Kristen, right? So they might have to type it in, but if you use our QR code on the slide, we now bypass that. So it's one less step they have to take. But let's say they're going to use this code here, which is one of my codes. We say, let's go. They throw in their name, they throw in their email address, and we jump off. Now, the first question we ask is, was this session valuable? If they say yes, we want to measure how valuable it was. If they say no, we want to find out what went wrong. Why don't people find it valuable? What happened? I'm going to give you an example of what happened to me, because we live in a very interesting world where you can get canceled real quick and you didn't even try to do anything wrong. So in my presentation, I did one particular talk and I started getting all of these not valuable, not valuable, not valuable, not valuable scores. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, this is a good talk. Like, I know it's good. What happened? So when I looked at my data report, right, and the data report looks like this, and I'm going to explain what all of this is, I started reading in the feedback section over and over, Aurel, you were fat shaming. Aurel, you were fat shaming. Aurel, you were fat shaming. And I was like, what? And then what I realized is they were talking about one part of my presentation. Now, one part of my presentation, I say this. There are some people, I used to say this, I'd say. There are some people that have obesity that runs in their family. And they say to themselves, there's no point in exercising, there's no point in eating healthy because my genetics have obesity that run in it. So I'm just going to let the chips fall as they may. And there are other people who say, it doesn't matter what my genetics are. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to do everything that I can to try to be the healthiest version of myself. So I would use that as an example, and no one ever said anything to me about it. But I started using Talkadot. I started getting a bunch of low value. So I was like, what the heck? And then I realized that it was being misconstrued, and that wasn't my intent. My intent wasn't to hurt someone or to make someone feel bad. So I changed it. I changed it to say some people have heart disease that run in their family, and they'll exercise and they'll eat healthy because they'll do everything they can regardless of the genetics. Other people say, what's the point of exercise and eating healthy? Heart disease runs in my family. I'm probably going to have a heart attack, so I might as well enjoy life. Once I made that shift, I didn't get any low scores anymore. So what's interesting about this is sometimes when people find our talks not valuable, we'll get these 1% changes that nobody would ever, like no one would ever walk up to me and probably say it to my face, but they will tell me. So it's really important for us to catch that. But let's assume for this illustration, they say, yes, the session was valuable. So they click yes. We use a 1 to 5 Likert scale. We use emojis because for some reason, emoji faces have a higher response rate. 97% of the people that start our surveys finish them because they're short and they're quick, and we've like optimized them to actually get through it. Versus, I don't know if you've ever taken a survey and then you're like, this is taking too long. I'm done. It's too much thinking. And you kind of nope out. That doesn't happen with ours because we've designed it that way. So we have questions we ask. Is it actionable? Is it engaging? Is it interactive? Is it inspiring? Is it relevant? So these are baked in. You don't have to build this. This is preset for you. If you want to change these questions, you can. But in our free version, these are just pre-built. You can use these right out the box. And then we ask, are you interested in hearing future sessions by Aurel? Yes or no. If they say no, our survey splits in a different direction and we find out why. If they say yes, we go great. Now, all of this is called quantifiable data. So let me show you. Let's move into how this is actually useful, because now that you know how it works, I want to show you how you actually use this as a really, really good tool, okay? So this was a presentation I had given earlier this year to a group. We had 37 people who responded. 100% found the talk valuable. 97% said they want to hear me speak again. And they thought it was engaging, relevant, inspiring, interactive in high 90s, mid to high 90s, right? So these are all great scores. So let me show you what I immediately do with this data and what I recommend you do with it so you can turn one speaking engagement into more speaking engagement, okay? The first thing that I do is I show it to my host at the event. This is really important. I think a lot of people don't realize this. When you get off stage, when you're speaking, do you know what you're thinking to yourself? Did they like it? Did I do good? I always think, is this the one presentation where I blew it, right? I'm always like fearful of that, even though I've done this like 1,000 times. But your host is thinking the same thing as well. So what I like to do is if I have my laptop open, I show my laptop. If not, I show them on my phone. If I can't show them on my phone, I just click the share this report function. And then you can turn this data into an easily downloadable social media shareable image. And I'll text it to them. And I'll simply say this: hey, thanks so much for bringing me in. I just wanted to show you the quick feedback that we got from the audience. I'll send you the full data report when we're done, but we made a real big impact here. Thanks so much for allowing me to come in. Immediately, their cortisol levels drop. It was success. So immediately they have a good feeling, because what I know that all of your hosts do is they check in with the audience post keynote to see what people are saying. Now, this is important to notice. Though 97% of these people said they want to hear me speak again, there was one person who said that they don't want to hear me speak again. What if the first person my host asked, what did you think about the speaker, was this person? The person who doesn't want to see me speak again. They go, he was cool, but like I could maybe deal without him. Now, even though everyone else loved it, that host immediately thinks I did a worse job because of primacy. The first person she asked was low, it's bad. But if I can get the data to them right away, if they talk to someone who says they didn't like me, it's like, yeah, you're not going to get everyone. There's one person that liked me, but look how everyone else resonated with this message. So that's the first thing that I do with it. The second thing that I do with it is I take this social media image right here and I post it to my social media. A picture of me speaking, a picture of me with my audience, and a picture of my Talkadot score. Why? Because I want to demonstrate to my network, not only am I speaking, but I'm making an impact too. And the reason why that's important is because I say this as respectfully as I can because I love my industry, but how many of y'all have ever seen a really bad speaker keynote in an event before? And you were like, how did that person get the keynote slot? So they could post a picture of themselves speaking, but it don't mean they did a good job. So I want to demonstrate through data, through actual numbers, I'm doing a good job. And not only am I doing a good job, I'm consistently doing a good job. That's very, very, very important, right? The other thing that I do is I leverage this data point right here. This is a huge data point. 97% of the audience wants to hear me speak again. I leverage, if you're not doing a post event debrief call with your clients, I highly recommend you do so. One of the things that we do, which has been amazing, we've added a large amount of rebooking. We're about 50% rebooking rate right now, which is insane, but it's awesome because we point to the data. We say to our hosts, 97% of your audience wants to hear me speak again, and 100% found this content valuable. We should do one of my other presentations on influence because clearly this has resonated with them. So my rebooking conversation is not based upon, hey, I hope you liked it. Maybe we should do it again sometime. Like it's like an awkward first date. No, it's data-based. Look, the data is showing that they want to do this again. If they have the ability to bring you back, and not every host does, but if they do, they're going to bring you back. But you've got to highlight that. It's very important. You just can't show them the report. Like I just showed you this report. Some of you may not have made that connection immediately until I said it. So it's really important that you share that with your host to say, hey, let's do this again because the data says so. You'll notice your rebooking rate goes through the roof, right? So all this data is done for you and it's immediately available, okay? Now, the next thing we do is we capture those leads. Remember I said the first problem is who are the people who actually want to book you? So this is very important. And not everyone knows this part about how our tool works. So I really want you to pay attention to this because it's really important. Our tool moves in different directions based on how people answer. Okay, it's called branch logic if you're like nerdy, like me. So we ask, do you book paid speakers for events? If they say no, our system jumps and skips everything I'm about to share with you and they get no more lead requests. And this is very important because the only person who's going to be upset at you for trying to quote unquote sell them something is someone who doesn't want to buy, right? But if I do want to book you, if I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to book Jenny for a speaking engagement, I want to give you my information. I can't wait to go up to you at the end of my presentation. So we ask, do you book speakers? If they say yes, now we qualify them for you. Would you like to book a rel for a future speaking engagement? If they say not yet, then we skip everything I'm about to share with you. If they say yes, I have an event in mind, or possibly, we then capture their information. So we pull their name and email from what they put earlier. they can now add in their phone number, and they can add in their title and their organization. I cannot tell you how many people have come up to me after my speaking engagements and said, hey, I'd really like to book you. I filled out your form. I gave you my information, so make sure to reach out to me. I go, of course, I'd love to. But I know if they've taken my survey that I've captured literally every single person in the audience who can book me to speak. And what we do is we put all of this information for you in this little dashboard. So this is the My Lead section of it. So everyone who wants to book you to speak goes into your booking categories. So these are all people, and this is a dummy account, so this isn't real information, who said that they want to book me to speak. We rank them by hot, warm, and cold leads for you. What's the difference between a hot lead, a cold lead, and a warm lead? A hot lead is someone who says, I definitely want to book you, and they give you their title, they give you their organization, they give you their phone number, and they give you their email, okay? A warm lead is someone who says they definitely want to book you, but maybe they chose not to give you their phone number. And we find that if someone actually really wants to get in touch with you, they're going to give you all their contact info. And then a cold lead is anyone who says that they possibly want to book you, right? And then the referrals, these are all of the people that during the feedback flow said, I don't book speakers, but one of the options was, but I want to introduce you to someone who does. So these are all the people who are influencers or connectors who can connect me with someone. And then the emails are all of the people I can add to my email list. And I can download any of these from any of these sections here and download them as a CSV file, upload them into my CRM, my email marketing software. You can do whatever you want with them. So now I've captured all of my leads. I've captured all the people who can refer me, and I've built my email list. And now I'm getting the quantitative data to prove my effectiveness. But we don't stop there. We also get testimonials, qualitative data, okay? Now, if you want to get good testimonials, this right here is a magic question, okay? Jason, you love influence. We've tested lots of things. This gets you the best testimonials, period. So instead of asking, what did you like about Arel's presentation? Or what did you think about Arel's presentation? You'll get a lot of things that go, it was good. I can't put it was good on my website. If you've ever had have you ever done like if you get video testimonials of people at the end of your talk and you get them like on camera, have you ever had someone go, oh my gosh, Jason, this was amazing. You told me how to be an influencer. You go, oh, could you say that on camera? And they go, I really like Jason's talk. You're like, that wasn't nearly as good as what you just say the thing you just said. That's because people like kind of like, they don't know how to say it. But this question, if you had to describe this session to a friend or colleague, what would you say? Gets the best responses, okay? So I'll show you an example of the responses, right? So this was a talk that actually rebooked me, right? So they said, this was my second training with Arel Mooney and was just amazing as the first time. I left feeling closer to my coworkers, inspired for the new year, and knowing I would continue to revisit valuable tools from today. Thank you for the great dose of positive energy, right? Arel was engaging and entertaining and gave our 70-person team a big shot in the arm with respect to appreciating each other, remembering that to succeed, we must work together. This is the second year he has presented to our agency, both here through Zoom, but he's so interactive that it was easy to forget that he wasn't with us in person. Like, these are really, really good testimonials. Like, I can use these for something, right? As opposed to like, it was good. So now I can take this testimonial, click on these three dots right here, click download shareable testimonial, and now I can easily turn this into something I can post on social media or I can share with my client. Now, one of the things I like to do is when I send that text message to my client, I like to text them my quantifiable data and then a couple of my favorite testimonials as well. Just like one or two to be like, here's what they said, here's what the feedback was. Now, for any of you, real quick, does anyone want to know my secret to how to enter into a text relationship with my clients? Do all of you text your clients? If you don't, I got to tell you, this is my secret strategy for how to enter. And if you can start a text relationship with your clients, you can literally start booking speaking engagements through text. Literally, I just did that. Like, I wish I could show, I don't know, my screen's not gonna show, but literally I just texted a past client and they said, hey, your ears must be ringing because we're thinking about bringing you in for June. I was like, I'm available June 7th. Awesome, can you send us a contract? Definitely. And it was like the easiest, it's like those are the best because there's no stress. So how do you enter into a text conversation with your client? This is what I recommend doing. In your pre-event questionnaire process where you're like getting ready for the event, tell your host, I will text you when I arrive, when my plane arrives, when I get on the, if you're flying, when I get on the plane and when my plane arrives, I'm going to text you to let you know that I arrived safely. The reason why that's important is because your hosts are constantly afraid that you're going to miss your flight or not show up, right? So you tell them, I'll text you. And then in the morning of the event, I text them again. Hey, I'm super excited about the event. Can't wait to see you in about an hour. They're constantly stressed. I have spoken to so many event planners. They're constantly stressed you're not going to show up. Constantly. So if you text them and be like, hey, I'm going to show up, now I've entered into a relationship with my clients where I can text them. Now I name all of the clients in my phone, like something that identifies them as a client. So as I scroll through my like contacts, it's very easy for me to know like who's a client and who's not. But what's amazing about this is then I shoot them my reports. And 9 times out of 10, when I shoot them my reports, they usually respond back super positive, or they show it to someone else and they go, oh my gosh, look at this. This is amazing. So anyway, that's outside the scope of this presentation, but I think not enough speakers enter into text relationships with their clients. And then you can just text them throughout the year and build relationships with them way more easily versus like sometimes phone calls and emails feel like very formal. So the text is just really, really powerful, okay? So we get these here, and then we do a catch-all question. Anything else we should know? That goes into the feedback section. Sometimes people will say things like, this was amazing. Sometimes they'll say, you know, it was the best. And maybe they'll say, maybe I didn't like it or something like that, whatever it might be, right? So they'll give you some type of feedback if there is like, here's how it could get better, or the AC was too cold or whatever. And then we go, great, and then they're done. Now, this blue book a meeting link only shows up for people who said, I book speakers and I want to book you. This is very important for you to understand because this does not show up for everyone. You can add your schedule, your calendar, what's it called? You can book me, schedule, Calendly, Schedule Ones, Acuity, whatever you use to like book your calendar stuff, you can connect it here. And just for your speaking leads, they can actually jump on your calendar if they're interested. Now, not everybody will, but if they do, that means they're a super, super hot lead. Everyone else gets this bonus served up, which is, you know, you can, like, I created a summary of my presentation. So I have like a 5-minute video, a 1-page summary that I give to people. You can also give them a PDF, like I said. But then there's also this right here. This is actually really cool, okay? Your social media is clickable here. The reason why that's so important that it's clickable is that most of the time when you do a presentation, I'm willing to bet this happens, okay? You have a contact slide and you throw it up at the end of your presentation and you say, hey, please stay in touch with me on social media, and no one actually does. You do a speech and you don't get the level of like, I should get more followers from the talk, but you don't. Because this is a clickable link, you can actually increase your social media following. So this is, now, if that's important, this social media following is not important to everyone else. I personally am just driving people to my LinkedIn. But if you want to put Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, you can put whatever you'd like. I personally, this is like me on my soapbox here. I feel like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter can be very negative. Like it can be very like combative and abusive in the comment section. LinkedIn is just wonderful. Everyone's like posting positive stuff and everyone's like supporting each other. So I'm just on LinkedIn more, and it's all like all good stuff, and people aren't posting like dumb videos of people fighting and yelling at each other. So anyway, that's my personal preference. You do whatever works for you, right? So when people are taking the feedback, one of the things that I say while they're taking, because they have a 2-minute window, is I say, oh, and by the way, at the end of your feedback, you'll see a link to my LinkedIn. Make sure to click on it and connect with me. I post my best content there. So I tell them to do that. And every single time I do a speaking engagement, I notice I have all these LinkedIn requests, which is awesome because if you're in my LinkedIn world, you're going to see me posting all my speaking engagements and all my data and all my stuff. So I know that it's just a matter of time before we might work together again, which is really, really cool. Okay. Okay. I see you, Jason. Jason had to go. Cool. Oh, this is great. So Jason had a question of what if a conference has their own survey? This is a wonderful question. This comes up actually quite a bit. Here's what we recommend. When a conference has their own survey, Typically, their survey is a general survey for the entire conference. Or if they have an in-app survey where you can like give me feedback, they're used to seeing anywhere between 5 and 10% of an audience give them feedback. What you do is say this: hey everyone, I'd love for you to give me feedback. This feedback is just for me. This is how I get better and how I improve. And this is how I can give you access to the cool thing. Please fill this out for me. And please make sure to also fill out the survey for the conference. And you point them to like the in-app, or if they have a paper form or whatever it might be. Now, this has happened to me every single time that I've had a client who has their own survey. I share them my report, right? So this report right here, you can click on share report and copy report link, and you can email this link to someone and it gives them a public view of this. It doesn't share any sensitive information. I got like this one, I got over 50% of the audience to give me feedback. No one ever gets 50, 60, 70, 80% of an audience to give feedback. So my hosts actually appreciate it because it's more data than they typically get access to. So it helps them realize the impact. And I still drive people to their survey. So I'm not like usurping their survey and saying, take mine, don't take theirs. I'm promoting it. And most speakers don't promote taking the survey. So I say, this is for me, but make sure to also fill out the survey for the hosts. This is how I get better, and this is how the conference gets better. I've never had a speaker or a user who's done that have a problem with the conference. In fact, most of the time the conferences like it because this typically is much more user-friendly, because all of the apps that I've seen that do surveys, they usually do 1 to 5 ranking and then 1 qualitative data, and it gets spit into an Excel spreadsheet, and then the host has to go through the data and turn it into something. So because your report's automatically done for them, they actually are appreciative of it versus feeling like it's taken away from them. Okay. Let me pause there because I know we're getting close to the top of the hour here. And that was pretty much the stuff that I wanted to share with you. Oh, pricing. Let me talk about pricing, and then we're going to open it up for questions because I know this is a question. Everything I just showed you, you can do for free. You can 100% do everything I just showed you for free. Okay. So we have a free version of our tool, and then we have a premium pro version of our tool. The difference between the free and the pro is that on a free account, you can collect 100 email opt-ins for free. So you can get 100 leads, 100 referrals, 100 people to your email list absolutely for free. And then if you want to unlock more emails, so let's say you only speak to 20 people at a time, you can have 5 presentations before you hit that 100-person limit. But if you speak to like 200 people at a time, 300 people at a time, the pro is going to be more valuable to you because one speaking engagement should be worth thousands of dollars to most of us. So it's only $35 a month billed annually. So our hope is that if we can get you data that you can use to get rebooked, we can get you data that you can use to reach out to people. I send my data to people, by the way. If we have time, I'll go into my land and expand technique, and I'll show you exactly how I use my data to book speaking engagement with cold people who don't know me. So if we have time, I'll go into it. But the data, the leads, honestly, it's a no-brainer. Like I've personally, and I'm not saying this to brag or anything, but I've personally booked over $100,000 in new business directly from Talkadot. And we have a lot of speakers that say 25% to 35% of their business comes directly from their use of Talkadot now. So it's something that just, when you have leads of people who want to book you to speak, who've raised their hand, when you have data that prove the effectiveness of your talk, you can show the ROI. It's a no-brainer for folks to say yes to working with you. So you can grab the leads, you can get the data to prove your effectiveness, and you can build your email list. And all you have to do, literally, just insert that slide. That's it. You just take that slide, insert it in, call people to it, 2 to 3 minutes of your talk, and then it creates this wonderful, wonderful spin wheel. Okay, so let me pause there. I want to see if folks have questions. I know we're getting to the top of the hour here. I want to be respectful of your schedules, but maybe you got a how about, yeah, but what if? You can't hurt my feelings. If you're like, I don't think this will work for me, and here's why, please let me know. There might be a unique case. And I'm very honest. If it can't work for you, I'll be like, yeah, that's not a good fit for you. Don't use it. If it is, I can maybe share with you some of the experiences that I had with other speakers. So if you have any questions, please use the unmute yourself. If it's easier for you, you can use the raise your hand feature. But yeah, let's jump into some questions before we wrap it up today.
Errol, I've got a question.
Please.
All right, so I used the free version for most of the summer and into the fall, and then I just upgraded the other day because I had long since passed my 100 and I needed to get those out of there.
Yeah.
So I spoke at an event 2 days ago and got some the leads that are like the hot leads directly to me and they have an event. That's easy for me to figure out what to do, but the referral ones, I was looking at and trying to think about and strategizing how do I reach out to them. So I think I did an okay job because there were 3 of those and I've already heard back from one of them who's like, oh, this is the event that I was thinking of. But so I have a specific question about what I'm seeing in the data, and then a follow-up question on like, what do you say when you reach out to those folks? So
that's a great question.
The specific question when I'm looking at the table of data and it says organization, is that the organization that the person who's got the referral is from, or are they plugging in the organization that they want to refer me to?
Okay, let me share my screen because I want to answer all those questions for you. Okay. So you're talking about the My Lead section and it says organization, right?
I'm the referrals, under referrals.
Yeah. So where it says organization, this is the name of the organization that this person, Robert Baxter, is a part of.
Okay.
So I'm Robert Baxter.
That's kind of what I thought, but I thought maybe it was the organization they want to refer me to. But
no.
Okay.
So I'm Robert Baxter and I'm part of the Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's Office and I want to connect you with somebody. That's what that is.
Okay, so then what I did is I reached out. I think I had one of them had a phone number and the other 2 had emails only. So I reached out by them on email, thanking them for, being at the session. So glad they enjoyed it and they gave me the feedback. And I saw that they were interested in referring me to somebody and what would be the best way to go about that. I mean, I'm curious to know how do you follow up with those?
Yeah. Great question. So what you do is you say, hey, Robert, thanks so much for attending my session. I was looking through the feedback and I noticed that you indicated that you might be able to introduce me to someone who might be able to book me to speak. I'd love to learn more about that. Do you want to shoot me an email or jump on a call to tell me what you had in mind? Okay. So I'm reaching out to them saying, I was looking through the data. I saw that you indicated this. And they're either going to say, yeah, reach out to this person, or they're going to say, no, let's jump on a call. Or they're going to be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was just lost in the sauce and I was so excited to like hear you that like I wanted to figure out how to support you, but I really couldn't think of anyone. But I'd love to, like, if it shows up, I'd love to introduce you to someone. Like sometimes people like go like, I'm your champion, like I'm here for you. So they'll respond in one of those 3 ways, or they'll ignore you, which is like normal email protocol sometimes, right? Yeah. But that's what I'm doing. I'm saying, I noticed you indicated this. I want to find out more. You want to shoot an email or jump on a quick call. And then
okay, so let me ask you one more question that gets kind of down in the weeds on this. So I thought, okay, I want to like keep track that I reached out to these people. It doesn't feel like it makes sense to put the referral in my CRM. Whoever they refer me to would go in my CRM and I would start tracking that. So I'm just tracking them in like a Google Docs spreadsheet. Is that what you do, or what do you recommend?
No, so I'll tell you what I do. So you see how these are, let me go here. Okay. So you see how these are grayed out here and these aren't grayed out. So some are white, some are gray. So our tool has a very, very light CRM. So you can see these are gray. So like, look at this one right here.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you click on the drop down arrow, you can click mark as contacted and now it's gray, right? So that's a feature there. So you could use your spreadsheet. That's totally fine. But typically what I recommend doing is just going down the list, reaching out to the people, put mark as contacted, because these are not the people, like you could put these people into your CRM and tag them, but then it starts bloating it.
Yeah.
And my CRM is just for like leads. Yeah. Is that,
yeah. I didn't want to muddy up my data in my CRM with referrals, but I didn't know that I could do this. So thank you so much for showing us that feature, because that is exactly what I needed.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can use our tool very lightly. And then when you get the right info, put it into your actual CRM, like SpeakerFlow, whatever you might use. Yeah.
Perfect.
Great question. Thank you so much. I also threw in, if you have other questions, please ask. I also threw in a link. There's a special NSA link that if you do want to try out the pro version of our tool for free, you can try it out. No credit card required or anything. You just sign up through that link in the chat. And if you do decide to upgrade to a pro account within the first 30 days, instead of it being $420 for the year, it's just $374 for the year. So it's a little bit of a discount. And then $399 each additional year. Your chapter will get $25 for every one of you that does sign up, and NSA corporate headquarters will also get $25. So it's just a little like tip in the tip jar for your group for signing up as well. So I just wanted to make sure that was mentioned as well. Other questions?
First of all, we have to say happy birthday to you. I just saw on the Facebook, it's your birthday today.
Thank you. So I appreciate it. It's very kind of you.
Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So kind. Kristen out here making dreams come true and smiles happen. Yeah, thank you, Kristen. Karen said, can you mention the regular Zoom meetings you have to share key tips and more info on the tool? Yes, thank you for asking that, Karen. So we are, someone said, we're not a platform, we're a partner. And I was like, oh, that warms my heart. So we have something called weekly AMAs. So every single week, I jump on and I'll answer any question that you have about the tool, about reaching, the land and expand technique that I use often, or anything like that. Like, we're here to set up every single week. We have an availability. We also have an onboarding session where we can walk you through it, get you set up, and get you technically set up to make sure your account's looking good. We got best-in-class customer support. If you reach out to us, we will respond to you. We will do our best to support you as best we can. And we do a really, really good job at it. And then we also do what's called pro trainings. So just for our Talkadot Pro members, we'll do different trainings at no additional cost about like sales techniques, other strategies for marketing. We're doing a session next week on the best world-class interactions and crowd icebreakers. So like there's lots of like crowd interactions and icebreakers out there, but like 99.9% of them are cheesy. They're kind of like dad jokes. Like most dad jokes are bad, but there's like a few dad jokes that are really good. Like, for example, did you know I used to be addicted to the hokey pokey? But then I turned myself around. That's what it's all about. That's a decent dad joke. But, you know, most dad jokes, you know, are not decent, right? They're not good. So anyway, most icebreakers are not good. So we actually share with you some of the best. And again, we just do that to help support, because we know that if you are doing well and doing better, and like this is just a supplement to what you do here at NSA Minnesota. Like obviously your chapter is providing incredible content. We just do that to supplement what you're learning and doing. We also have partnerships that we give our free stuff to our members. Like, for example, we have a partnership with My Speaker Leads. So when you join Talkadot Pro, you'll get 400 current speaking leads. Conferences right now, once a week, you'll get an email of 100 leads, conferences, events that are currently looking for speakers based on our relationship with them. So that's something that we give away. So we like to do cool stuff like that because we generally, like, I'm a speaker, so I'm a speaker first, tech co-founder second. So supporting our community is really, really valuable to me. So anyway, thank you for asking that, Karen. Hopefully I didn't kill a fly with a sledgehammer by saying all the stuff that we do. But we generally, like, we don't just say it. I think if you join our community, you'll see we have your back, and we're pushing you, not just waiting for you to reach out to us. Will you be sharing your scripts? Yeah. So all of the scripts that we have, when you sign up for your free account, you'll get access to that. So how to tee it up, how to do email follow-up. We have scripts on, here's like some suggestions for email follow-ups that you can use, cold email outreach templates and scripts, how to tee it up and all that kind of fun stuff. Like, we give all that to you. So if you sign up for an account, you'll get a welcome email, and in that welcome email, it'll have all that stuff. All right, thank you, Kristen. She had to jump off. Any other questions about anyone new who's like, oh, I don't have anything coming up, it's the end of the year? You know how December be in the speaking world? It's not voluminous, which it's not, by the way. I mean, I don't know, maybe for you it is, but typically, if I do one in December, that's like amazing for me. Does anyone want to know the land and expand thing? We got like 2 minutes. I can teach you that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna teach you this, okay? So this is a really simple thing that I think goes really far. All right, so, okay. So This is an organization called, are you familiar with the ASAE network, the American Society of Association Executives? Okay, so if you're familiar with that network, I highly recommend it. It's a really, really awesome network. They are basically an association of association executives, right? So it's a really, so all association executives, they do one thing, they throw conferences. So it's a room full of people who throw conferences. It's a wonderful group, right? So I filled out one of their like call for proposals and I got one, right? Which was WSAE. This is actually a picture of me speaking on, we actually went outside and did a workshop in addition to my keynote. So these are the people in the workshop. So this is really good. So I land one and then I get my data from my WSAE, right? Then I reach out to FSAE with my data. So I land one. So that's the thing you got to do. You got to land the first one. Then I reached out to the FSAE, which is the Florida Society of Association Executives. And I shared with them my data report from what happened at WSAE. And I said, hey, I just spoke at WSAE. It went really, really well. I'd love to present to your Florida group and create these types of results. Now, what I do with all of, let me see if I can find my report here, right? So this is called a community action agency or community action partnership, right? So this is the NCAP, which I think is like the Northwestern Community Action Partnership. So I take this report and then I land this one, I get the data. And then when I do a cold outreach to a group that's similar to this, I say, hey, my name's Arel Moody. I recently did a presentation on, communication skills, influence, whatever your topic might be, to this community action partnership. Here's the data and feedback that you can read of what they said about that training. I would love to create a similar experience for your group. Let me know if you'd be interested in speaking. Sincerely, Arel. And then in my signature, I put my website, a link to my speaking video and my speaking topics, because I know if they see that, they're going to be like, let me research this person and see if they're legit. So I put that into the signature. So I land one and then I expand into similar ones. But instead of just saying, hey, I have clients like X, Y, and Z, I say, I've spoken at this group and here's what the response was. Here's what the data is showing. So it helps them feel more comfortable in knowing, okay, like these are the types of things I want my employees to be saying. I can feel more comfortable bringing them in. So I think this is a really powerful tool where you land and expand. So it's really, really, really powerful. And with data, it just makes it way more easier. I do coaching than speaking, but coaching stays busy. I'm going to sign up for a free account. Start. Yeah, Diane, for sure. Please, please, please sign up for a free account. Use it in your speaking world and see where that gets you. And for you, one of the things that you can do is you can add an additional question to our survey. So if you do any speaking to get business, so a lot of people might do speaking to get business. I speak to get coaching clients. I speak to a room full of business professionals. You can add a question that says something like, would you be interested in me contacting you about coaching? And then all the people that say yes, you've now pulled a lead list from an audience, but you got feedback. And this is kind of the last thing I'll say, because I know we're like a minute over and some of you might be stressing out like, oh Lord, I got to jump to my next meeting. He's still talking, right? What's really, really cool about that is your deliverable to your client is the data report. So it doesn't look like a quid pro quo, like you're selling. Like, hey, everyone, if you want to join my coaching program, join it. Like if you can sell from the stage, don't use Talkadot, sell from the stage. Because you don't want to do feedback and sell from the stage. It's going to confuse your audience. If you're doing like a hardcore pitch, go to the back of the room, enroll in my program. I wouldn't recommend using Talkadot in that world. But in a world in which getting like it may not be elegant to do a hard sales pitch because you're in like maybe a chamber of commerce or something like that, your deliverable to your client is the data report. So the reason why that's so valuable is because the data report is useful to the client, but you've collected leads and coaching leads, speaking leads and coaching leads. So it's a win-win without it being a little bit like, right? I can do that the free version. The additional question, the additional question is a pro feature. So the free version has the standard flow you just saw. If you want to change the 1 to 5 quantitative questions, and if you want to add an additional question, that would be a pro feature that you may want to consider taking advantage of. Thank you so much, NSA Minnesota. Y'all are the best. I know y'all got to run to the rest of your day out here. Thank you. Enjoy the sun. maybe go for a walk today. And please, please, please sign up for Talkadot. Again, I put the link in the chat. Please, at bare minimum, every single one of you should have a free account. And the other thing that we're going to be doing for your chapter is moving forward. When you bring in speakers and trainers, you're going to have a chapter version of Talkadot that you can use for all of your sessions so that you can keep track of what training sessions work well for your chapter and have a long list of it and see what other chapters are doing as well. So we got so many cool things coming on the horizon for you. So make sure that you get your free Talkadot account. Starting in January, you're going to see this really cool chapter version of the tool that we're building just for you. So you can make sure you're measuring the impact of your chapter's education. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Karen.
Bye.
Thank you, Janelle. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Jenny.